like random streets that I walk into in New York and being like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to pretend that this is infinity and like there was no time before me and no time after me, and this is like my liminal space. Yeah. And I feel that way in narrow aisles in the bodega. Yeah, no, those
Have you
spaces
been to Walter's? So if you go into Walter's, it's just a diner. But then if you are bold enough to just walk through Walter's kitchen, like the kitchen, that it's a speakeasy. It's like an actual bar.
Okay, well now
the bar serves much better food than Walter's, and they use the same kitchen, which is really strange. Like, why couldn't you serve good food?
They're saving it for the people that
fascinating.
know. If you know, you know.
Also, it's like a Japanese speakeasy, so they do Japanese food in the back.
Yeah.
And
oh my God, that's so cool.
And just be confident. They might look at you, but you know where you're going.
Okay. I feel like this is one giant prank now.
We have cameras set up. You're going to walk into the kitchen. They're going to make you.
This is actually the Eric Andre show.
Oh man, this is the Eric Andre show.
Like comes out of the IKEA.
I'm here for the Japanese.
So we heard you wanted to be a line cook.
Yes, we are Raser and Rhodes, and if you hear an extra voice for some reason this episode, we have a guest.
We have our first guest of season 2. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Pance Pony. Yeah.
The infamous, the famous.
I was going to say, I'm neither infamous nor famous yet.
In my life,
it could go either way. Like, I'm never like all good or all bad to somebody. I'm really complicated. Oh, being a person. That's what this whole episode's about.
With your permission, I actually kind of wanted to call this episode Getting Pants On.
That actually is a literal thing that you're doing right now, and also it is also being a person. That is one of the responsibilities you have to do.
You do have to put your pants on.
Oh, it was difficult today, I will say.
Let's make tailored overalls like a thing. Like I want that instead of a wedding dress. I want a really well tailored.
Oh my gosh,
one like a white. Really well tailored.
I want like a tracksuit.
Yeah.
I want a wedding tracksuit.
Yeah, that's what I want.
A wedding tracksuit.
Trying to figure this one out. That'd be really cool.
The most expensive part of the outfit is the shoes.
Oh my gosh. You come like jogging down the aisle.
Some deep techno version of the dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Oh, that's Palm Circumstance. That's graduation. Never mind.
I like that though.
Palm Circumstance instead.
Get it up.
No, we need the final countdown?
Yes.
What a wild message for a wedding. What a crazy message.
Exactly
for a
where
I need to write this down. Where does Eye of the Tiger come in?
Eye of the Tiger happens when all the guests are coming in before anything even starts.
It's the thrill of the fight.
Any objections? And then you just start
It plays really quietly from the presiding judge at the divorce hearing.
This was foreshadowing all along.
Foreshadowing.
You know Shaq's a DJ now?
Yeah. You know Jason Derulo is a reaction TikToker.
I love these
world
pivots.
are we living in anymore?
Actually, we are going to talk about today some pivots in
know
artistic career.
That Russell Brand is now like the main spearhead of like all conspiracy theorists. He's now like a big figurehead.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't know that, but that checks out completely.
He's QAnon.
So like you can do anything you want in this world. And that is what I'm on this podcast to tell you.
So on the podcast today, we have Pance Pony. The might be infamous, nor may be famous, in one timeline or another, as we have discussed.
I'm like one of those pivotal characters, I can tell.
She is.
Teetering.
Very talented musician, a former classical cellist that recently shifted their artistic focus to musical theater production.
Yeah.
She is a longtime, I put that in quotes because the podcast is not that long, but longtime fan of the podcast.
I mean, from like an episode 1, that's as long as it can possibly be.
Who recently
episode 1 redo. Yeah.
Sorry, not episode 1, take 1.
Eventually we have to publish that.
Eventually. It's honestly not the greatest.
Just
it's definitely a step down.
Jump cut after jump cut of just us pausing and umming. That would be great.
That actually, I will consider making that edit. Just all the breaths, the ums and the likes.
Ooh, yeah. The lip smack.
Back to introducing our
sorry.
host. We are 14 minutes into this recording, and we have not gotten to this guy.
I already can tell this episode is just going to be like
It's
this.
gonna be great.
I'm so here
No,
for
no,
it.
it's great.
So our longtime fan of the podcast, who recently made some big shifts towards pursuing creative living. And then I wanted to get into something that I really love about Pance, which is that you kind of embody the ethos of this podcast really well. Like what Cole and I are trying to do, you have done very successfully. So I wanted to shout out Pance because you are a huge community builder when it comes to artistic living. And I met Pance in a park, literally. And we bonded over our enjoyment of yoga. And then all of a sudden I'm invited to these like jam nights where I'm meeting other artists and creative people and being artistically inspired. And that's all you. And you welcome people into your home with such like a warmth. So I wanted to say, Pance, you rock. And this podcast is...
I do want to say... I don't do like the reason the jams are so cool is because you show up. Like
exquisite host.
Thank you.
Exquisite host that cannot
that's
be
the reason
that
why
cannot be undermined.
And
there are really not enough spaces that we
there
have
aren't. Yeah.
to get together and really have a supportive artistic community like that. And we created a podcast because we couldn't find a way to do that in person.
Yeah.
Basically is what we did. And
I want to live that to the extreme.
And you do.
When you were talking about in your last episode, not to be like callback, but listen to all of their listen to all of
we
season
do that
one.
with our own podcast.
Listen to all of season one before you listen to this one because I'm just gonna be calling back, or I'll be spoiling it for you. So no need. Start from here. But when you were talking about the building of like a brownstone full of artists that are just like
the
people
dream.
living, I'm like, that's exactly what I also envisioned coming here. And I had it for like a brief second.
Same. There was a moment like pre-pandemic where like it was kind of happening.
Exactly. But post-pandemic,
it's impossible.
I feel like a lot of the art now is becoming more increasingly outsourced. I'm working with a lot of people who now want, they want cello stems remotely. They want things, but they used to live in New York, and I met them when they lived in New York, but now they live in Austin. Now they live in Oklahoma. Now they live in Seattle, Portland.
It's getting, it's cheaper anywhere else.
Cheaper. And now that things are more remote, people are like, well, why do we need to meet up in a space and be physically present with each other? And it's like, because
that's good for existing.
Because we do, yeah. It's because we're all trying to person. And I think like weirdly I got into theater during the pandemic when theater was no longer happening. I was like, because I was missing something that I'd never even actually liked before. Not that I like musical theater. Now I like theater. I just never knew it existed. And I never found out that I needed it until the pandemic happened. And that's like what caused me to...
Ooh, hot take on the pandemic. And correct me if I'm wrong. Big time for artistic shifts in a lot of people's careers.
I was about to say like pre-pandemic
versus post-pandemic you creatively. Think about it. I want comments from the listeners too.
Yeah,
is that a thing?
Please, we would love to have more perspectives
thing,
on that. But personally, I was in the film industry pre-pandemic.
Yeah, and then you
I was an editor, and then I worked in sound and film, like on-set sound and mixing film scores and like helping compose film scores. Pandemic hit, the bottom just fell out for an indiscriminate amount of time.
I lost 2/3 of my income overnight.
It's just like, and gone.
Yeah.
But that pivot just goes to, okay, so the rent just dropped dramatically. I'm going to move toward Prospect Park and make an entire room just like an in-home studio space and just start doing music stuff. And now here I am. So like, for me personally, and I know you've had this experience too.
I went from muralist, so big, to printmaker.
It was tiny.
Hard pivot into printmaking was my pandemic pivot. My little
pandemic pivots.
My pandemic.
Comment your pandemic pivots.
Wow. I think I pivoted too. I actually, funnily enough, before COVID, I was really extremely agoraphobic. So I didn't leave my house at all. Like, and so when everybody was like, no one can leave their house, I was like, oh, well, then maybe I can go outside now.
Maybe I can go.
Maybe I'm less afraid of outside now. but that's how I got really into the music and the music studio and recording arts and starting to like, songwrite a lot is like I felt most at home in a recording studio.
Yeah.
But like, so
which is somehow one of the more isolated spaces.
It's the most isolated space, like musiconically,
engineered
too.
to be isolated.
It's engineered to be isolated, so I felt really comfortable there.
Yeah.
And then, in order to be a successful music producer, you need to spend all of your time in a music studio.
Yep.
You become a really strange person. And like
hi.
with some very unhealthy habits, exactly.
Hi, hello.
Yeah, exactly. And and I think like when that whole industry just stopped existing, I like started to question, myself and go outside.
Musical theater on the other side sounds like to me like a super extroverted.
Gosh, it's very extroverted.
Industry.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, and I think like I'm conversing a lot with extroverts and I'm blending in somewhat well.
You're learning.
I'm blending. But yeah, like there definitely are these like very introverted, weird moments that I have. And the way that I cope with them is I make really, really weird jokes. Like I just start acting really absurd.
Comedy is a coping mechanism.
And then like, exactly, like I just start acting really strange and then making like somewhat off-color jokes to be like, okay, there's too many people in this crowd of people I'm talking to. Let's like cause some people to leave with some really
you're trying to do like
off-color
crowd
opinions.
I never thought of comedy as crowd control.
Flat Earth.
And then I noticed there was one other person in the room that was like, that got what I was doing.
It's like
that saw that I was like a
latched.
real life troll. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, like we started making music together. And then the most beautiful thing about being in a crowded room of like extroverted people is like, yeah, some people are going to have like different opinions or different journeys or different art or, different values. And then there's going to be one person in there that's kind of like, I see what you're going for here.
Yep.
I don't have any questions. Let's do it. Let's make it.
Go.
It's a yes. And so it's great when you do like find those people, but it's like, it doesn't happen unless you like get into a big room with people.
No, that's how we met, and it's because you showed up at my front door and started yelling at me. Yeah. So sometimes it does happen.
I've gone from extroverted to more introverted, actually.
No,
my shift has been the
pandemic for me
direction.
was I was always an introvert, but again, like especially in the film industry, you don't have an option. You gotta talk to people. As the sound department, you don't have to as much. In fact, it's your job to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, definitely.
And tell other people to shut the fuck up. But as you said, like getting into a music studio and becoming your own little hermit, your own weird little hermit, that definitely happened to me over the pandemic. So when people started like coming out and like some of my projects during the pandemic blew up. Right. So in coming out of the pandemic, it's like, oh, now I'm playing rooms with a lot of people in them.
Yeah.
And now I'm, oh God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just like coming out into a different world. Did you guys also experience coming out of the pandemic just like being really in your head about everything you're saying all the time? And you're like, how did I ever talk to people
How do
before?
Well, there was also this real uptick. I mean, the Me Too movement did it, but there was this huge uptick in awareness. So then there was this cultural building that needed to happen afterwards of like us coming together and being like, okay, how do we interact with each other again? Because obviously like with the Black Lives Matter movement and things, sensitivity just being built around the world when it comes to accessibility and that like a huge spotlight was dumped during the pandemic onto all that. So then coming out of that and being like, okay, we're still neighbors.
Maybe we could do this better this time.
Let's establish new norms. Yeah, which is really awkward, but
and I think we all do experience it personally where it's just like I'm in a growth state, I'm acting so awkward, currently in a growth state, currently acting a little awkward,
forever
but like
in a growth state, forever acting a little awkward.
Yeah, that's actually true, but to have the whole world doing it at once was something quite special.
Yeah,
I agree.
So
I think there was cool. Childish Gambino's most recent record and their last record, they have an interview, regardless of how you feel about the record. There's an interview where he talks about if you're an adult worried about being quote unquote cringe, you gotta give that up because as an adult, there's no space for you to be worried about being cringe.
It's probably
you're
just
so
you.
cringe.
Just
you're cringe. Just chill. I'm cringing right now. It's fine.
The things that make you cringe, it's like you reflecting other people's judgment back onto yourself. So the things that you find cringy about yourself are probably the most true things to you that exist.
The things that you're most just like, am I reading the room wrong? Is someone reading my person wrong?
It's a fear of being misunderstood.
Yeah.
And everything that you could say could make somebody else cringe, but you won't say anything or do anything. Yeah, you have to say something.
Someone has to dissent upon simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
It's not going to be me.
There's a weird artistic process that I am going through. I just did this wonderful, wonderful program. Cannot recommend it enough for anyone who's interested in theater writing. The BMI Lehman Angle Songwriters Workshop. It's a 2-year program. It's completely free. It's in the heart of the city.
Holy shit.
Wow.
It's incredible. I met some of my best friends there. I met my writing partner there. Definitely apply for it if you have never heard of it. But one of the things that I really like doing in it, a lot of people, they go in and they want people to like their stuff. And I'm like, I also want people to like my stuff, right? But one of the things that I've noticed that is really, really helpful is I write comedy. And I need to know where the line is. And if I never cross the line,
you will never know
where it is.
Yeah.
So I can go into this safe space of 30 to 40 writers and just go way too far.
Like, whoa, pull it back.
Yeah, can't even, I won't even give an example. That's how
far you go.
That's how too far.
You're like, this is recorded.
I have gone. Yeah, exactly. We're being recorded. But
it's edited.
And if you don't go too far, and that's one of the things that I learned in here is how do you make comedy that offends just the right percentage of people?
What is the right percentage
80,
of people?
20.
80-20? Okay.
Well, for some people, it's 95-5. That's going to probably be most people.
Really?
I like 80-20.
I think 80-20,
80-20 just rolls off the tongue. Also,
there's
I think you're still winning at 50-50. Because, our country's so divided.
Oh, yeah.
Our two-party system, hate and love.
We're so divided. You're going to, it's literally half of the people that hear you are
going to be on board.
And the other half are going to be so against it that they will make other people aware of the thing that they didn't like.
That's what happened with the Olympic opening ceremony,
yeah.
which I was talking to you guys about because the only reason I actually watched it is because
people didn't like it.
I heard people were outraged, and I was like,
honestly, it wasn't.
I was like, this is pretty mild to pleasant.
You kind of see in the entire creative direction of it that asshole holding that was happening creatively,
the clench, the pucker.
We're being creative, but we're not going to step across any
pucker
lines.
Yeah, exactly. I think, that is a really good point about it. And I think
so they really tried
to. In doing so, in kind of being afraid to step over some lines, they inadvertently stepped over other people's lines.
Right, exactly.
Everyone has different lines.
Oh, and by the way, for context, what we're talking about is
for context.
This is the Olympics. It's the opening ceremonies that are happening in Paris, and the creative direction for the opening ceremonies included this little bit where there was a long table and some of France's most notable historical figures sitting at the table. And I guess the Last Supper is by Leonardo da Vinci, who's not French. But Napoleon did steal a lot of Italian art and bring it to France.
France did a lot of stealing of Italian things. We do a tarot portion of this podcast. That's what tarot is.
Yes, and people were, or certain people were offended, or certain people were offended for other people. Not really sure whose offense was being taken.
I think they saw something to look at and yell about, and they did.
So somebody decided to take offense for Christianity, or because they are Christian, and said, well, the Last Supper is actually a really important story to the Bible, and you can't just make fun of the Last Supper by Da Vinci in the opening ceremonies of the Olympics with fun historical French characters.
I didn't like if I didn't see the whole argument and I was just looking at it, I would have gotten that it was the Last Supper. I would have gotten that this is like, but I would have seen it more as an homage.
Yeah.
And less
it's kind
as
of just like a
mockery.
setting.
Like, so I think most of what people are outraged by is that there were trans people next to children. And I think it was
that was the outrage that I heard.
Transphobia.
Yeah.
Like more of like this is just a global outrage of, like trans existence. And I felt like a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize, I thought I was going to be going and watching something that was like,
that really,
Satan.
Yeah,
or like
really crossed the
like,
line.
And I was like, this doesn't cross any lines. Like, I couldn't believe that the artistic director, I didn't read, I only saw the headline, actually apologized.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
No, that was the
like,
article that I immediately found when you said you want to talk about the
Right.
Olympics. Is the first headline was the creative director apologizing, and I was like, oh my God, what did they do? And then I watched it, and it's like, there's nothing to apologize
There's nothing
about.
to apologize for. It is absolutely, it was gorgeous. It was very French. I will say it was
Comically French.
incredibly French.
Canonically French.
I loved it though. I loved every little bit of it, and I wouldn't want it to be any less French. And I feel like if you took any part of that out,
I was really questioning, like, who's actually offended here? Like, who came forward and said offense?
Even the French weren't offended by it.
Because, like, the Last Supper is Italian, again. So is it the Italians that are offended or the French that are offended? And then is it Christians that are offended? Because I don't know if a lot of Christians would care. Like, Andy Warhol did a reproduction of the Last Supper in his own style and put it next to a GE symbol.
I mean, in musical theater, we have Jesus Christ Superstar.
Were they outraged then?
Probably.
Maybe. I don't know. But, like, it rocks. It's, but whatever.
Like, at this point, like, are we just getting offended because we can and our voices matter, which they do, but, like, are we just getting offended for other people, or is it the community of people that could take potential offense to this that's coming forward and saying this is unacceptable?
I do see that a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I do see a lot of people
think about the children. Don't ask the children what they think, but think about the children.
Yeah, exactly. I do see a lot of people like worried that it will offend someone else, and then they're like speaking out, and which is fine, I guess.
Weirdly enough, the thing that should be taken the most offense, in a very silly way, is the Olympics is a display of the human ability of physical wellness. Snoop Dogg was the torchbearer. Let's be real.
And he looked so happy.
He was just there, vibing.
You know what? Nothing makes me happier than seeing Snoop Dogg happy. I don't know why. This is, again, divisive art crit.
Look,
what makes you happier than Snoop Dogg?
Snoop Dogg torch-bearing.
I'm like, yo, you go. We need Snoop Dogg at every Olympics from now on.
I don't think that would be the worst idea.
I don't think so either.
He's the only person in the whole world that everyone can get behind.
Right.
Weirdly enough, yeah.
I think
he's
that's
everywhere.
So true. He's just very exactly. He's everywhere and nowhere.
They've also completed the main plot, and now they're just doing whatever they want.
Right. Snoop Dogg is like, Snoop
Inside
Dogg
of you are two wolves, Russell Brand and Snoop Dogg. Which one do you choose?
Yeah, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
I will say. Although, I will say I enjoy watching both of their journeys. Like,
they're very interesting.
I will sit down and I'll watch anybody's show. So, funnily enough, Russell Brand used to have a meditation show that I really liked. Like, he's very good at mediating meditation and stuff, and actually was one of the main reasons why I got into meditation. And then his show has slowly evolved. You get to watch online as someone's journey takes them into this world of no longer trusting anything around you, which takes me into now.
That's actually so relatable.
Yeah.
Thank you, Russell Brand.
You don't know how much of it is a lot of your listeners are really into QAnon and conspiracy theories, and now
you're pivoting intentionally.
Yeah, you're pivoting intentionally. It's just a really interesting human. And I know in some way Russell Brand is inspiring like whatever I write next. I just don't know how.
You don't know how it's
and I don't know why. Why?
What sect of reality are you questioning today?
What sect of reality? See, I am more of like, I like chaos, and it sounds horrible.
No,
but
I'm here for
a
it.
healthy amount of it.
Yep.
So like whenever the pandemic was happening, I was like,
what's going to happen
sweet
next?
chaos. Everything the stock market is like declining. Whoa.
The numbers are being weird.
And like, yeah, exactly. The numbers aren't, the math isn't mathing.
The math isn't mathing and it's great.
Yeah. So like, I kind of am like the chaotic nature of like, what is the truth and why do other people believe that this is the truth when obviously it so isn't from my outside view, because my truth is obviously right. And like,
does conspiracy interest you in the same way that you talked about how like comedy is about like going way beyond the line to figure out where you cross the line? Does conspiracy interest you the same way?
Conspiracy theorists interest me in the same exact way.
Yeah.
Where it's like the less dots you have, the more connections you're making. And I don't like, I also really do like empathize with conspiracy theorists in the same way. And I don't know what that is about my psyche, but like I look at conspiracy theorists and I'm like, okay, like you believe the queen is a lizard. Like, I can talk to you in this reality. Like, let's go from there. Take me on your journey. I really want to hear your story. And I'll be like, very attentive and very listening, but I'm really listening for like trust, I want to hear about them as an individual and like, what is it like to like follow a street sign? What do you think about the people that are controlling traffic signals? Like, are they part of it? What do you think about the people in the library? Like librarians, are they part of it?
Are they controlling our information?
Are they controlling the information? Exactly. Like, so
are we all part of a cult run by libraries?
And there's fun. Like, I obviously believe that obviously aliens are here already.
Okay, that's just like basic probability.
Basic.
At that point,
I know, exactly. There's like a better than average chance. And like that, I do love the aliens one, but that is one of the ones that I'm like, okay.
I think we're beyond conspiracy with that one. We've had enough time. The government has disclosed that they think things are happening.
And the government does gaslight you into believing lies. Like, they do that. That is a true thing. But where does it become? I'm sorry, I'm going to say
no,
it.
You're good.
Now
Go
the
for
earth
it.
is flat.
Yep.
Because where does it become that? Because you have to believe on some level that so many people are lying.
Right.
That like
so
historical touchstones in like our human existence are just completely just fabricated.
You get a bachelor's degree in physics, and as they hand you the diploma, they go,
don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody.
So just
I've been to the edge.
I know, it's like, but like, again, I want to like talk to you as if like, I want to take it seriously, because I do believe it's not a knowledge thing. It's not like a logic thing. It's not that these people are so stupid. It's like, there's a trust breakdown that's happening there. And it's more of a trust issue than it is like an education issue, and also a propaganda issue.
So
we have a huge propaganda issue.
Just for some context and some background on this conversation, Pance is doing
I'm obsessed.
Pance is doing a writing project right now that involves interviewing conspiracy theorists.
It's a long project.
And I actually wanted to be sure on the podcast to ask you, just to like ask you a little bit about your creative background and how you got here. Because I know at the beginning of the year, or like we met up earlier in the year, and you still had like a 9-to-5 job.
Oh yeah,
and now
I did. Right?
Yeah, you did.
And now we're
I
sitting
met
here.
you shortly after you quit that 9-to-5 job in the same park.
It's been wonderful.
And now we're
Which, by the way, that within like an hour and a half of me first meeting you, you invited me to one of these jams for my birthday. Like,
we had your birthday party.
My birthday party was
apartment.
impromptu, celebrated at a jam night that I was invited to by someone I met an hour and a half ago.
And now we're sitting here, and you're working on. That's outside noise.
I said now we're sitting here talking about flat Earth.
Flat Earth. Yeah, so now we're here and you're working on several creative projects and your life has taken some big turns. So I did want to like ask about what that's been like, your transition since then into more creative pursuits.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And I will say, if you are like serious and you know what you want to do, quit your job. Like, quit your job.
She said it. She crossed that line.
We didn't say it. This is what the podcast was meant to do, but we didn't say it.
Quit your
We didn't
job.
come out about it.
Just quit your job. It's all fake. Money's fake. It's all fake. But
Oh no, conspiracy theory, money is fake.
See, as you can tell in the format of this podcast, the guest has ADHD.
Don't worry, I'm keeping everyone on track. We're going to be fine.
Abby has a huge job. I know.
Abby, you have the wheel this episode.
Honestly, this is going to be a great episode.
Steer us.
No, I love this episode so much already. This is fantastic.
But yeah, so quitting my 9 to 5, I guess.
Let's talk about it.
I was not ready to quit my 9 to 5 until I knew what I wanted to do. And I spent years in the artistic world. First of all, I was a full-time artist before I got into the 9 to 5 life again. And I was doing stuff that did not bring me joy. I was coping. I hear you a lot about you were manifesting other people's projects.
Yep.
And I was manifesting the projects that were paying me the most money and not the projects that I actually thought were good for the world or good. And I think like a lot of times it just like, it was not vibing with me and I was sacrificing a lot artistically. And I was like, oh, is this what it's like to be an artist? I guess. And I got like jaded. And so then I like re-entered the 9 to 5 world. And that's when I found like theater and I found like storytelling through art and like larger concepts, major works, like things that have like social commentary. And I started to write musical theater. Just as kind of like a coping mechanism for what I went through writing, like I wrote a lot of pop music, but I wrote, I would help people with their interpersonal or like their personal issues, which didn't feel bad. It just didn't really feel like my calling. And then I started to write like this musical about a girl who sells her soul to the devil in order to write the next great international pop song. And spoiler alert, the international pop song is called Dat Booty. And so it's just all about like, okay, you have to like, sell out on your image. How much do you sell out on your own artistic and creative vision in order to like hit mass acclaim and like make it? Yeah. And so I wrote that and then that ended up getting picked up like by someone produced it. Well, I had to produce it and I was an emotional wreck. Like because I was like
this is
still
while you were working?
Yeah, and I was still like introverted, agoraphobic, like very much like trying to overcome some personal trauma. And like now I'm put in charge of like a 15-person team. And
it's also a 15-person team directly involved in your own vision.
My own vision with
crazy.
Artists and like, and then also like, yeah, it was too much. Like it was more than I could chew, but I still really liked it. It was definitely a learning experience though. Yep. And I am so grateful to the people that are on that creative team that are still working with me. I'm like, why? But
you saw me at my lowest.
I'm really grateful. Y'all are still here on this journey. Thank you. But I'm just like, so that happened. And I was like, oh, maybe I should start like writing musical theater. And like a few good friends, I'm going to shout out Daniel McCamey specifically. He basically forced me to like audition for BMI. He was like, no, you're doing it. We're doing it. Let's do it. Get up, get out of bed. And I'm like, oh, but I want to kill myself. And he's like, get up. Who cares?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, get up. No one cares.
Do it after.
Especially me. I don't care.
Save that for later.
Yeah, I know. And so then I finally did. And like the first day of BMI, I had a panic attack. Like I was like, I can't do this. This is so many people. This is so much, pressure. And the first song I ever wrote for BMI, the assignment was write a song in which none of the characters singing the song mean what they say. And I wrote a song called Go. I don't need your love anymore. Basically, it's like that's the song, and it's all about how I'm deciding to go and I'm gonna leave you. It's not gonna be like last time. Like the first time I wrote it, like people were laughing. Like by the third line, everyone's laughing, and I'm singing the song to people, and I'm like, "Why are you laughing?
This isn't funny.
Why are you laughing?" Why are you laughing at my stuff? Is it like this bad? But they're all laughing. And then I just start to realize I'm like, oh, I am writing funny stuff and I didn't mean to. Like, I'm not.
It's a good stumble.
So I think like now I'm like, oh, okay. I started to lean into comedy, and then I started to go like more absurd, go over the line. And
love
now
absurdity on this podcast.
This is going to circle back because I feel like now I finally found a voice. I now felt like I want to do this. Like I actually want to write this stuff. I feel like I have a voice. I have a vision. I found a niche. It's a very niche-y niche. And I feel like now that I have the niche, I'm ready to let go of my 9-to-5 because I would have felt rudderless otherwise. Because I'd be like, what do I do? Do I play the cello? Do I do this? Like, do I sing songs? Do I write pop? Do I keep producing? What do I do? How do I be creative? And now it's like I get what my shtick is. And once you have a shtick, quit your job.
Find your shtick, quit your job.
Find your shtick, quit your job.
Be happy, make art.
Money is fake.
Exactly.
Money is fake. The earth may or may not be flat.
Wait, literally, the description of the podcast.
No, that's definitely in the description for sure.
Find your shtick, quit your job, the earth is flat.
Money is fake, the earth is flat.
I love that.
So good.
Oh, yes.
No more information.
And I mean, like, I have lived my 32 years on this earth to tell you that. That is what I'm supposed to be doing today.
And we appreciate you coming on the podcast to do it, because I think basically we've been bitches about that. Like, because I think we both decided not to have 9-to-5s intentionally so that we could pursue our dreams, but it's hard to encourage other people to do that because it's not stable.
Yeah.
It's not stable. And like the ways that you can make it stable, do that. You have support. Like if you have a support system, lean on your support system. You are worth it. I have people in my life that don't have support. Like they feel like they're distant acquaintances, but I believe in what they're doing. And so they come to New York and they need a place to stay. And I'm like delighted that they asked, because most people don't ask. And people in your life probably want you to ask for more help than what you're doing. And so it took me a long time to accept the help that was like, people were just like begging to help me. And more people are still asking if I need help that I haven't taken them up on. But it's like, if they see somebody that has an artist mindset, a vision, and like, you are weird. I hate to break it to you. You're a weirdo. If you've gotten this far into the podcast, like accept some help. People really want to help you, and it's really hard to accept that.
Yeah.
Like that was like the biggest thing for me. And the only reason I like swallowed my pride and like accepted the help was because I actually knew. Like now I knew what I wanted.
Right.
But before,
so now I know what to ask for to some degree.
Exactly.
Well, that and the pressure of feeling like this could slip away at any moment. So what if someone helps me out, or what if someone puts something on the line for me and I don't produce?
I fumble the bag.
So knowing that you're passionate, I think really also helps with that. Knowing that this is your life's work.
And now I'm getting to the point where like I would have never gotten to the point where I am now, where I am showing work to producers. And some of them are like, I actually got to one producer recently, and he just said, this is the single craziest pitch I've ever heard in all of my decades of producing.
Was it accepted?
And it was a show.
Should be.
No, it wasn't. But
no,
like, it was
that's
really
a beautiful
funny,
way to accept a pitch.
But I'm just like, oh, so I've got something here.
Yeah.
I took it as like
if something gets rejected
yeah.
flamboyantly,
it got rejected passionately.
No, you pursue that. You find someone who's going to do it.
Because I knew I have something that like even friends that are, you know, like I have a cousin who's like very much in the industry who's like, that's a very good sign. If you get like a maybe, it's like, that's not good. But if you get a passionate no, you know it's good. Like, you know you're
Again,
like hitting a nerve.
Why 95-5? Why 80-20? 50-50?
Yeah. For the producer, you want it to be 99-1 too. You want it to be that one crazy person.
You want to be that one crazy person who's like, I love it.
Like, I love it.
I fucking love it.
Hell yes. Like, yeah, I find a lot of my ideas are very much that. Like, they're divisive from the pitch. So it's like, I'm going to need to find some weird, eccentric billionaire that's just like, yes, I am also a nihilist. I love it.
I love this shit.
I wish. That's what gets me really passionate about the Eric Andre show. They asked me about things that got me really passionate, and I don't think Cole or Abby could have guessed the things that I was passionate about.
It's like, so yeah, we talked about Paul McCartney simply having a wonderful Christmas time, the Chicago being the art movements of absurdism and minimalism. And we ask you, and what we get is flat earth memes, Russell Brand,
Eric Andre, and Troll 2. An immaculate selection. Because again, when I said for divisive crit, we'd like people to come if they find a spoon they have a strong opinion about, we'd love to hear about it. And you come at it with this list of
niche
subcultural topics. It's like, great, exactly what we wanted.
I just like, tried to choose stuff that were already pretty divisive or that were like in some way trying to be divisive already that I had already formed a strong opinion about.
Perfect.
And I think I just mentioned nihilism, which made me think of Eric Andre, obviously. It's very clear from all of your art that you don't see a point to any of this.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I just find that to be like, wow,
that was one of
liberating must that feel?
That was one of the things that we wanted to talk about on a podcast with you is because I think a interesting subject to you is why artists make art.
For sure.
Right.
The concocting
Eric Andre make art?
Why does Eric Andre make art?
See, I think that's why I'm a longtime fan. I've actually run into Eric Andre on multiple different occasions.
Okay.
To the point where, but I don't want to ask. I'm like, no, you're like one of my heroes. I can't get to know you. And then I just will like.
Probably fate at this point.
I will
run into him that many times.
Next time you do it, you have to
ask. At the
ask.
farmer's market, I ran into him.
Really? Here?
But I don't know.
The Fort Greene Farmer's Market is a very genuinely good farmer's market.
It's a great farmer's market.
It's expensive, but it's great.
But $4.40 for those delicious apples, $4.40 a pound. Oh, yeah. I'm all about it.
It's good.
Best apples I've ever had.
There's that cidery that always has their space open. Their ciders are immaculate.
Plus, it feels better.
So why do you think you make art?
Why do I make art? Well, I think it has something to do with there was no good way of expressing myself when I was a child. I didn't have a good or healthy creative outlet. And so I just had a lot of like anger and like specifically some negative emotions that I had to hold in me. I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, it's not like my family's fault or anything. It's just like how people thought of mental health before literally 5 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, like people, like during the pandemic, people are like, wait a minute, mental health.
Wait, mental health exists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most people don't realize it exists until they're like having
until
a
they
breakdown.
Have to confront it before all they have is sitting in a room being like, I'm thinking something that I don't like. I don't have control over this thing that I'm thinking and I don't like it. Oh God, mental health is real. Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. I think the first thing I remember is like playing the cello, and like I had an emotional attachment to my cello, much like a baby has an emotional attachment to like a teddy bear, where like we moved a ton. like when I was a kid for like, you know, like parents found a new job or something. So we move here, we move there, we move there, we move there. And there was just like a lot of instability. So I like clung to the cello. And even when we went on vacation, I would make them find a way so that I could bring the cello. So even for those 4 days, I could like have one thing in my life that's sacred, like that doesn't change. So I think like I had a really like strong emotional connection to the cello, and it was like my anchor for a long time.
It's like your means of expression, your means of self-soothing or exploration.
Yeah, I think it was like a means of soothing. Like it was like, I think there was something about the cello that was soothing to me, and I didn't get good enough at it to actually express myself until maybe 10 to 12 years into it.
Well,
I started having
we
feelings.
talked about this in our Mad Genius episode, how like there's only one thing that actually connects artists. There's not really any like mental health
Oh, it's this
stronghold.
Weird compulsion that we have to
It's
create.
weird compulsion. Like you said, it's motivation. Like outside of needing to be good at something, outside of needing to express anything.
Right.
It's just, I feel like I need to do this. This is something that I've latched onto and it must be done. I don't even have to be good at it. I just have to do it.
I listened to that and I disagreed with you guys wholeheartedly.
Let's go.
I was like, I
here
think
you
that,
are,
like,
and here you
most
are.
of the things that humans do, like, and I think about this a lot. I'm like, most of the things that I do probably has some sort of subconscious, like, I'm coping.
Yes.
Like, I'm coping for something. Like, why do we go on a walk? I'm coping with something. Why do I call my family? Why do I...
There's something as simple as eating. I have a huge relationship with eating that's just like, oh, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I don't really want to get out of bed, but breakfast. And so I'm just using food as my motivation to like get to the next step.
I use coffee,
And then I'm using food as my motivation to like take care of myself. Like
and we all have like different mechanisms of coping, but like, you know, that is also motivation. Coping is a motivation.
Coping is a motivation. So, it can come in very differing flavors, some healthier than others.
Right, exactly.
I would consider a cello, honestly, pretty on the healthy side of things.
Yeah, it's a good coping mechanism. So I got lucky. But I think like art is so incredibly important because it's a very healthy coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I think if I don't have art, and you were talking about like there was a long period of time, Abby, where you didn't make art and it was a very sad time. Mm-hmm. There was probably other ways of coping that you were using. Like looking back, we don't got to get into it, but
a lot of sleep.
Exactly. Like there was another coping mechanism that you probably replaced making art with that was like not serving you as well.
And The Office.
Yes,
and The Office.
Sleep and The Office. That's it.
Yeah, I cope watching like my favorite TV shows too, the ones that I know how they end and like I know. Yeah. Like I watch Monk all the time and I like know the end to every single episode, but I'm like, I don't just need to cope with life right now.
I just need something on. For me, it's like video essays about things that I already know about.
Exactly. It's something that it's like, yes, please like reaffirm my knowledge.
Reaffirm the things I know.
Yeah, exactly. But I think a lot of what we do is coping. That's why I wrote my first musical is I was coping with my feelings of like not feeling like I'm actually expressing my own image or like my own vision or my own message. I was actually like spending a lot of time writing other people's message for money.
Yep.
So I wrote that to cope with those feelings that I was having. And then, I'm still doing the same thing. I think right now I've been in a very long consumption phase of 2 different musical ideas. The first one is this conspiracy theory one that I've already started writing. And
I'm very excited for a conspiracy theory comedic musical.
Yeah, it is absurdist.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's absurdist. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't have permission from my writing partner to
good. You're
plug
good.
It,
we anxiously wait.
All of the research that I'm doing, talking to conspiracy theorists, will not be seen in the finished product.
Right, you're just like doing character research.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing like character research and like especially like the main character who is going to have like this breakdown and then like of trust. And also like just this feeling of being so outwardly open and defiant about something that most of the people in your life are thinking you're ridiculous and or making fun of you and or shunning you, and you're like further isolating yourself and you're choosing to do so. And like, why? And I haven't quite figured out why yet. So I have to talk to real people who feel like that in order to get any sort of believable character on a page.
Yeah.
If I don't find and meet people like that, I met one guy. He's the one that got me so interested in conspiracy theorists. I lived right next to the UN for a while during the pandemic. And I had a lot of an apartment that was falling apart, basically. And he was a handyman on TaskRabbit. So I was like, hey, I don't have any money. I'm an artist. Can you come over and fix a lot of stuff? And in return, I will listen to you because you don't seem like you have a lot of people in your life.
Wow.
At the time, he was putting up a stuff about the masks. Don't wear your mask. Don't show them that you comply. Like, don't obey. Don't do, like anti-maskers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was definitely an anti-masker.
Establishment of the time.
He definitely wasn't wearing a mask coming into my apartment. But as you can tell, I love chaos, whatever. I was okay with it. And I was just like, whatever happens, happens. I'm young. And so I just basically told him, hey, you can come over. I don't drink, but someone bought me this bottle of scotch like 3 years ago and it's still here. So you can have a shot of scotch if you can like fix this light fixture that's about to fall down. So he would just like be doing handyman work around my apartment. And while he's doing these handyman work, he's giving me videos to watch. He's giving me like BitChute videos.
This is already a good play. Like, just this experience.
This could be a 2-person play and still be immaculate.
Yeah, he was just like, and I was like, I'll listen to anything that you say. Like, I will watch the whole video and I will talk about this with you. And obviously, I don't know. Like, so I'm fine to talk about this with you. I was just basically asking follow-up questions. But I start to get into his life, and he used to be a trader on Wall Street. Used to make millions and millions of dollars. And used to have a wife and a child, and they left him because he's so, like, I mean, probably other reasons, but like, he was willing to leave that behind because of his convictions. I think he believed that it was mostly Bill Gates that was like trying to microchip people, and, it was like all of that conspiracy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and like, it was funny because I was vaccinated at the time. I'm like, well, I guess we'll see what happens. Like, like you and I are really good, control and experiment.
Right.
Yep.
So like he was very much an anti-vaxxer, like, but he let it tear his family. Like he follows this conviction and he's being actively isolated by his family. And that's what ended up getting me so interested in it. Then I started to obviously equate it to a lot of other belief structures. Like, people get split up all the time because of religion and things like that. Like, belief structures are so powerful in our system that I just like started to get way too heady. Then I just started to write this musical about belief structures. But yeah, that's why I brought you a bunch of flat earth memes, basically, because I'm online too, and I'm trying to find people that live in the area, and you have one for me apparently, which is great.
Yes, I do have a guy.
You have a plug.
I got the guy.
And I just I like to hear people's stories, no matter how deep they are into it. Like, they're not going to be as deep as this guy, obviously, hopefully not, because his story was kind of really sad, and I hope he's okay, and he was a really nice guy otherwise. Like, that's the other cool thing about conspiracy theorists is when they're not yelling on the internet, they actually appear to be like somewhat normal.
They also just have like normal lives.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that is true about a lot of things that we fight about a lot.
Yes.
Turning
it on that angle, I think I have a potential answer, and you've probably thought about this. And I don't probably know half as much as you do, but my answer to the question of like why they make these decisions and why they're willing to sacrifice so much is because once a belief becomes part of your moral structure, people don't sacrifice on their morals. And you can turn that around on yourself. There's probably something that you hold so dear, like that for me, it's like a lot of like women should have the right to choose. And I will start sacrificing friends if I have people in my life who believe differently, because that's something that, like I know people who've gone through the system when it comes to abortion and unfortunately rape and that kind of thing, where like that's something that I won't sacrifice on. And then if that means that I have to not talk to certain family members about that topic, then so be it, right?
Yeah.
So if they get so far down these beliefs that they hold that they become part of their moral structure, I could totally see how it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I actually had not considered that. Like, and I think, I knew it had something to do with like ingraining it where it becomes a part of you and it becomes like part of your endocrine system. I think I was like thinking about it a little bit too like biologically.
That's interesting though.
Yeah, like,
I could
it's
vibe
an
with
interesting
that.
way to go about it, for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. I just like, I didn't really think about it in terms of like my morals. But yeah, there's a lot of things that if you asked me to do, I just wouldn't do it based off of my morals. So that makes a lot of sense. There are things too, like when I'm talking to people, I do have a weird thing where if someone has a completely different opposite view of me, and I get viscerally upset sometimes, I will just like, I'll enter a different part of my brain that isn't viscerally upset. And I don't know how I'm like doing
understand.
it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there
It's a good
are
skill.
times where like, especially like I can't handle the transphobia. Like that's one of the things that like gets me really upset. And there's a lot of crossover. So I will be like interviewing some people and they'll start to be talking about, and then like
The gays.
oh God. And then I just like, I'm like, okay, enter troll mode. Like now you're trolling. Like you are now troll. Okay, go. Like, but you have to like squash it a little bit in order to be like, okay, I'm going to keep this
open the space for those.
conversation like less aggressive and like, cause there's a certain like, you know, sacrifice that I have to make in order to like keep this conversation open and keep this person opening up. Like, cause I want to know how you got here. Cause maybe if we know how you got there, we can help get people on the same page somewhere. Or I can meet you in the middle. I can meet you in the middle. Like,
can we live with people close to us that have different moral structures than us is a really good question.
I think it's also like a practice of like compassion. Like,
right.
You're doing compassion on the hard mode.
Yeah, I'm doing compassion on hard mode to see if I can make it easier.
Yeah.
But one of like my main goals as an artist is like I want to start to try to evoke more compassion in people, especially for people like, I don't know, I just hear a lot of people having a lot of like closed-minded opinions about another like political party or another religion or another like sexual orientation without like really knowing much. And so
ignorance plays a big role.
For sure.
And I definitely used to do the same thing. Like and I still do it. I'm not saying like now I'm beyond
and now
that.
I'm better. I'm an enlightened being now.
Now I'm a little more aware of what I'm doing. And so I'm like, okay, who do I have like weird, like negative opinions on without much context or without knowing those people?
Yep.
I'm just going to go and talk to those people forever. And again, the flat earth memes are, I think, the culmination of my journey, like recent journey into interviewing people that I don't at all agree with. I think like I tried to pick some that show you a little, like give you a snapshot of their emotionality.
Yeah.
That is like fascinating to me. The emotionality.
When you brought up wanting to like talk about flat earth memes, and I'm glad it wasn't talking about the memes specifically, but the reason behind it. Because we get into like how our art critique on our last episode went into less of the fun podcast haha and more into like what actual art critique is. Mm-hmm. When I looked up flat earth memes, I got all like the normie shit. And then you're coming at us with some crazy shit.
Satan's globe Earth lie.
Okay, me and my partner saw this one that you had. It's a tweet from globestupid.
Yeah.
globestupid.
Which the ad is crypto stew, so that tells me all I need to know about that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you explain what this
does it though
means? Okay. It's a picture of the globe and then an overlaid picture of what I think is a plane over it, and it says, whenever you see a curve, complete the circle.
I was going to ask
confused.
you what that means.
Oh, so you don't even know?
Yeah, no, I was hoping you guys had an answer. I didn't know exactly
We'll
what that
flash
meant.
it up on the screen for the viewers of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It shows that maybe, can you tell us what this means?
This feels like anti-flat Earth almost.
I didn't know either. I was hoping y'all would like explain it to me through context clues, and then I would like have acted like I was in on the joke.
I got it.
Whenever you see a curve, complete the circle.
You know, when your friends know you, your circle, whoever follows you knows you so well that when you post something that's not you, they know it's funny. Like if I were to post something about my love for MAGA hats,
okay,
people would know coming from me that's satire. Globestupid posts this like, ha
globestupid.
Some people think there's a curve.
I was gonna say,
that's so dumb.
They make fun of people that are globers. Now, I will say there are some, again, I haven't found this meme, but my favorite memes that I have looked at of flat Earth memes are just a picture of the Earth from far away, and then being like, ha, psh, looks real, right? Ha ha. But it's just like a NASA picture.
Great, you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's my interpretation, opposite of that.
Okay.
Whenever you see a curve, complete the circle. If I'm to believe this person is a staunch flat earther, if you were to believe that there is no curve, whenever you are to see a curve, something that they believe is wrong, something that they don't inherently trust in completing the circle, you're finding out its full context. If you were to see a curve and complete the circle, you would also find the underlying reasons why the conspiracy of a round Earth, of a spherical Earth, is being perpetuated by whatever the rest of the circle is. Because you're only seeing the horizon, so to speak, of spherical Earth, if I'm to be a staunch flat earther. Complete the circle, dig deeper.
Dig,
get under the surface, get beyond the curve.
Sense, yeah. Like, you're seeing a curve, like that's convincing, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to look underneath and complete that
and
circle,
be like, well, shit, it's
you
flat.
would see all the global elites.
What you're saying is globestupid is capable of double entendre.
Yes, at CryptoStew3.
I'm glad you're giving him credit. Is that all? That's all I have to say.
That's the thing. Is like a lot of flat earthers are incredibly like they have stuff going on upstairs.
There's what's the documentary that not under the dome? There was another documentary that came out in like 2021. I'm forgetting the name, but they go through like a lot of actual like physics and math, and they do the math and physics correctly.
Yeah,
they know how to do it, and they prove themselves wrong in the documentary, they choose to like overlook it, but they knew how to do it.
That's the thing is like they actually like invest $40,000 and I don't know the name either.
I'm forgetting it too, but
they actually prove themselves wrong and then dismiss the evidence. So it's like there's something beyond.
It's morals. Like, it's the morals that you were talking about.
And it's the morals exactly because it's like and it's something to do with like a breakdown of trust in our entire structure of society and a breakdown in like there's no faith that they have in like their common fellow man. And I'm like, imagine like being in that mindset and then like going and buying a sandwich. Like, I don't know, like these people like, and that's the thing is
I'm going to ask my friend from work. I bet Dane thinks about whether who he's buying a sandwich from is an alien.
Like, are they an alien or this? Yeah. Like, exactly. Yeah. And like the idea of like looking around you and like, it's just must be incredibly isolating.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have like gone so far. I'm like I am like a flat Earth poster child of like I want to believe.
I want to believe.
Like if you can convince
fuck the alien
me,
shit. We're already good with that. I want to believe in the flat Earth.
Yeah, I really want to believe you. I just can't.
You just haven't given me anything to work with.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so this one in particular, the flat Earth really, really, really fascinates me because the other ones, the aliens, we don't know.
There's not really evidence, so to speak.
Exactly. Like the evidence so far, there's no like physical evidence that is available to the public.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say there's no physical evidence, but.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
But like there is evidence. You can go out to a hardware store, buy the stuff that you need to prove that the Earth is a globe, but like for some reason people still believe. So this is the one that it's like, no, this is psychological.
Yeah.
Like this is there, like there's something going on in your brain that I want to know.
You want to know. You want to figure out why.
I want to know, yeah. And because I think it has a lot to do with why we're divided. Different people's experiences cause them to believe different things. And it's not an issue until you politicize it and make it a huge issue.
Yep. It's not an issue until you make it an issue.
Until you make it an issue. For instance, I was talking to a guy and he was fully convinced, like it was Queen Elizabeth. It was like around the time that, she died, rest in peace.
Yep.
But like, he was so convinced that she was a lizard, and during the funeral they were trying to cover it up, and here's all the evidence that he had that she was a lizard. And I just go, okay, she's a lizard. What now?
What do you get out of her being a lizard?
Like, so what? But like, that's the other thing. And then he's just looking at me and he's like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, cool.
I guess that's
like,
why these
are
people
you
can
hungry? I'm hungry.
Lived on the
like,
maps.
it's just like, it doesn't really matter. Like, okay, so they're lizards. Like, what are we gonna do about it?
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Exactly. And so, like, I remember having this conversation with the guy, and he just literally was dumbfounded. He's never like convinced somebody before. Like, I feel like he's just
I never thought I'd get
expecting
this
me
far.
to push back.
I've never gotten this far.
Give me a
before.
second. What now?
Yeah, where it's just kind of like, okay, so
Do you think if a major political figure in our world right now revealed in good faith, like not just being like, haha, fooled you, just like, hey, by the way, y'all were right, I'm a lizard.
Oh my God.
What do you
that's great.
think would change?
I don't think that's the thing.
What
I don't
would
think
change?
anything would change. Because they just recently did that with like the UFOs, and like now all of a sudden Congress is holding hearings about like, oh,
It's like
we've
really
actually
nothing
retrieved
changed.
aliens.
It should have been like
And,
a reality breaking thing that they declassified that, but
guess
people just
what?
went back to living their
People
lives.
don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like,
We still went to work and tried to make fake money.
to work trying to make fake money. Yeah.
Walking through the uncompleted curve of our lives.
I do want to make sure we save time for a creative consultation
Yes.
using the tarot. But I would be remiss if I did not take this opportunity while we have Pance Pony to ask
Troll 2.
about Troll 2. No, I'm just kidding.
We didn't get to it.
We
Darn.
never got to Troll 2.
But Pance Pony, would you consider blessing us with the origin story of your name?
I will. I want to decide
I don't
how much
know
is
if we can have
public.
someone named Pance Pony.
And then
on
be
the
like,
podcast.
One of the best names
I
I've
will
come
tell you
across in a
this.
long time.
the
Start
origin
reading from my
story.
vision.
Some of this is not mine, so I don't want to I want to share the information that's mine.
Yes.
But so I can tell you a portion of the story that has to do with me and my story to tell. Pance Pony. First of all, the person who originally came up for it did not ever realize that this was going to be an actual person's name. I woke up, it was my 26th birthday, and I just said, I'm changing my name.
Nice.
And I don't know why at the time, I didn't know why I was doing it, but I knew that I had just had a weird dream, and I woke up and I knew I had to change my name. Cool. What are you going to change your name to? Said a friend that was with me. And I said, Pance Pony. Now, first idea that I ever had was to change my name to Pance Pony. First thought.
Was it Pance? Like
best thought.
P-A-N-S-E.
So it was, funny enough, it was P-A-N-T-S.
Okay.
So I was going to originally change my name to P-A-N-T-S Pony. It worked for about a month until I realized, this isn't going to work. At the time, I was working in a school, and they were like, okay, you want to change your name
Pants.
to what? Okay. And I was like, okay, this is a little too silly. So I'm going to change the spelling of it to P-A-N-C-E. P-A-N-C-E. Oh my God, how do I spell my own name? If you look at it, it kind of looks French. You're like,
Pance Pony.
Pance. Yeah.
Pance
Exactly.
Pony.
But,
Pance Pony.
yeah, exactly. It kind of looks almost like
You should have put a little over the E.
right, exactly.
Pance.
It almost looks like fancy, but if you say it, it sounds really goofy.
No, it is.
And so, I didn't think about this. I'm really happy that it ended up being a good name for me because there was no thought involved.
Gotcha.
It was just, it had come from the ether. But the reason I chose Pance Pony is because I needed something that sounded so ridiculous and didn't really sound like a name, because I had a really strange relationship with, my family. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to feel comfortable talking to them. And like, if they were addressing me as the old name, I could tell that they were seeing their creation of like their molding of someone. Mm-hmm. And it was so powerful that I could never figure out who I was, because it was just so powerful. I never got to figure out who I was. And so I was renaming I couldn't think of myself as that anymore. I needed to reinvent myself, literally, not even reinvent myself, just find out who I was. And so if I renamed myself something kind of ridiculous, I knew I somehow grabbed their attention.
You're automatically subverting every bit of pretense. Just then, like, I'm a new person now.
You don't know who Pance Pony is.
You don't know.
They don't have anything to relate that to. Like, they know a Teresa. They don't know a Pants. So it's like, they need to address me as Pants. And if they're addressing me as Pants, I know that we're in the present. My 26th birthday, I didn't know why I was doing it. But like, I knew it was important to me. And I knew for some reason I wasn't going to talk to people unless they called me Pants.
Yeah.
And that was very important to me at the time. But it took years of therapy to realize that the reason I was doing it is because someone, like, they had a preconceived notion of who the other person was. Yeah. And I couldn't live by those constraints anymore. So I decided to become Pants and like figure out who that was. And it's just been so much better. Like,
you essentially did your own character study.
We
decided,
exactly.
I am now this. Who is this?
Exactly. And because I was being called something different, and like, I have a lot of friends who knew me as another name for a long time, who was just like, okay, sure.
Cool.
Like, exactly. Cool. Like, it wasn't a huge deal. And then I had a lot of people it was a huge deal. It was like, it was hard, but it was like, that was also okay.
Yeah.
Bumpy time in my life to like be making that change, but I'm so happy now that I'm on the other side of it.
I am very glad to have met you as Pants.
Yeah.
I think Pants is a wonderful person.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm way different. Way different, which
You've changed as a person over time?
What?
Crazy.
I know, insane. Yeah.
You're different than you were?
Oh, crazy. When I was 26? Yes. Very
wild.
Different. Yeah, but I think it just gave me the space to change. And I think, like, I'd highly recommend it. 10 out of 10 stars for changing my name.
Cole isn't my original name,
and Rhodes,
so I feel you.
Oh, awesome.
I'm asking because Rhodes is not my original last name.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so
Everyone
cool.
here has changed their name in some form.
Yeah, I think, that's so cool because it's really helped me. It helped me grow a lot. And so I've like come up with different like surface level answers, but that's the real therapy reason of like why I did it.
Thank you for being so open about it on the podcast.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, thanks for asking. But I have like dumb, silly.
Silly.
Dumb, silly answers.
Because I wear pants.
Yeah, exactly. Because I wear the pants of my own life. Yeah.
I wear the pants of my own cosmic pony.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're getting it. Yeah, it's been really fun because I like being the only Pants, I guess. Although, if it becomes a common name, I would be really happy. I think, like, a lot of people at first, they're like, oh, like this? Like, oh, like the Pant? Oh my gosh, that's so weird. But then, like, a week into knowing me, like, they totally forget.
Do we want to do tarot?
Would you like?
Let's do it.
We are practically happy with Racer and Rhodes, and today Pance Pony. You can find us at Racer and Rhodes on Instagram. Please like this and review it wherever you're listening. Thank you. So welcome to the tarot portion of the podcast. If this is your first time listening to Practically Happy, welcome to the community. We use the tarot deck, which is a fun deck of mystical cards, to get some greater insight into our creative lives, because much like our lives themselves, the creative journey of an artist has this sort of arc from life to death, or this cyclical nature where you get inspired and then
Die.
then you die. So with our guest on today, I wanted to introduce this concept of creative consultation. If you have listened to the podcast before, you know what's up, but take it away, Cole.
I was just going to say, I'm like, I have a lot of projects that I'm like, will this or won't this get funded? Spirits.
I am less good at financial readings.
Money is fake and yet it's so real.
Money is fake, but I have some of it, and it's going very fast.
I need more. My creative query, okay, is actually a lot like Cole's creative query of a few weeks ago. I see myself as, I want to bring people together in the arts, and I want to have, network and have a community of people that are all able to rely on each other. We've recently been thinking about moving that operation, or at least investing in a space right outside of the city. And the hope of being that we can take these creatives that we met in, urban America, move them to a rural place, and hopefully it will help them achieve their creative goals. I want to know where is this a good idea?
I want to know.
I want to know. Yeah.
Just a big question mark over that intention.
Is this good? In a very early stage of considering it, but it's definitely going to, it's on the table.
Yeah, let's get into it. I think I'm going to make this a somewhat larger reading. What I think I'm going to do for this podcast is I'm going to have a signifier per person.
Oh.
And see where these creative energies flow in each of our perspectives, as well as your 3-card reading specifically about your intention.
Okay.
Just to see the general cosmic weight.
Oh, nice.
Of this intention.
And this is my community.
Universal weight.
The universal weight.
Oh, wow.
Got it again. By the way, for context, the deck is a universal weight.
A universal
deck.
weight deck.
That's
a smaller
what it's called.
and punched up color version of the Rider. Fuck! The tower came up for me again.
Cole cannot stop pulling the
I cannot
tarot
stop
card.
pulling the tower card. I'm going to shuffle now, and I'm going to put the microphone down.
He's putting the microphone down.
He's shuffling the cards.
So signifiers are cards that fly out while Cole is shuffling. So right now what we're watching for, without putting any pressure on Cole, is cards that may just
I'm doing the sound effects.
I'm going to talk very loudly so I can hear myself in both of your No. I'm going to pull a signifier for Pants. We're going to pull a signifier.
I got the chills.
Abby.
Ding, 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 ding.
That's me.
Ooh.
We're going to pull a signifier for me.
Dex said no. Dex said you got your signifier already, okay? What? If that's the tower, I'm gonna
die.
So I've pulled the 3 signifiers for both me, Abby, and Pants. And now I'm going to ask you from this deck to pick any 3 cards and pull them towards you. I'm also going to do my best with this reading to not go into the larger book that I often reference and be a lot more intuitive with these things.
We love that.
Because your intention sounds very much a passion of the heart, not the mind. I would like to honor that and not over-intellectualize meanings of the cards, rather what they are trying to tell you. Not necessarily, I am bad at picking up these cards. Palms are sweaty.
Knees weak.
Arms are heavy.
Fortunately, my knees are not weak.
You ever pick your 3 cards and you're like, am I overthinking this? Am I underthinking
you actually didn't
this?
think about it at all.
Oh, wow.
All right, so
Incredible.
let's begin
I do.
with
Yeah, you do? Okay, good. It's not just me.
going around the table clockwise. For Pance's signifier was Justice reversed. My signifier was the 9 of Cups upright. And Abby's card was the 2 of Wands upright. Pance's reading is the 3 of Cups reversed, Strength upright, and the Queen of Cups upright.
I get the Queen of Cups a lot. I got it in my last reading.
It's a good one.
It
a good
is.
one.
You're like...
And then your
mixed.
groundhog for the entire reading is the 6 of Wands.
Okay. I don't know what any of this means. This is my third tarot reading ever. And the first two were so telling.
Abby's friend Marianne got her first tarot reading from me, and that was anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
The fact that I was someone's first tarot reading. And
flipped.
She
She
flipped.
was so-
Apparently it was good.
She was so
I'm
excited.
confronted
about
with that. I might know what I'm doing, but I can't know what I'm doing.
We're going to edit this out anyway, so I can say whatever I want. Okay. That would be justice reversed. My 80-20 joke.
When we said we were going to start a podcast, I came to you with a bunch of comedy concepts.
You were like, silly, goofy banter.
Silly, goofy, let's do some cool and funky formats.
And I was like, what
and
about...
you were like, what if we try to build a community of very lost souls in the creative world? It's like, that seems a lot more important. Sure, yeah.
Let's invite a comedy writer.
You've listened to the podcast.
That's why I like it.
Respect the comedy.
It feels like a conversation that I'd be like, I'd be fine if this conversation were happening in my living room. Oh, okay. Whatever you guys say, there was a sound that happened. I can't hear it at all.
I need to boost them. That means I'm producing the
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly. Oh my god.
Why am I looking at a globe so suspiciously? Is this a conspiracy theorist?
That is very funny.
So, I'm going to get into the signifier cards first, just so we kind of know where things are placed upon us. Justice reversed, and quite honestly, I do feel somewhat responsible for having flipped the card for you, because I don't know if it's necessarily as reversed or not, but justice regardless. Because justice reverse can signify law in all departments, bigotry, bias, and excessive severity.
Okay.
Whereas upright, it can mean equality, rightness, and executive function.
I think both of those kind of fit, given my obsession.
They do. So regardless of if it's upright or reversed,
seriousness seems to be the vibe.
you are perhaps, as I said earlier on this podcast, leading with the brain too much. You might be as I worried about over-intellectualizing your reading, you might still be over-intellectualizing this decision and not doing what feels correct.
All right.
First and foremost. And then if it really doesn't make sense, then maybe put some stopgaps onto yourself.
Okay.
For the 9 of Cups, which is my signifier, upright can often mean contentment of the court. Loving what simple things and what rooted things you have in your life, which for me is notable because as of late, I have been not really giving up a lot of larger aspirations, but focusing on my root, focusing on being more content with myself and just making sure my circles are pleasant and enjoyable and can push the more benevolent energies in my life. It's affirming that this conversation has put me onto a good path. The 2 of Wands.
2 wands.
I have sometimes said that the 2 of Wands can be somewhat telling of it's lonely at the top, of having built something under you, but not really focusing on making sure that you yourself are content inside of the thing you've created. Some readings say that it's akin to like Alexander the Great looking down upon his swath of land and realizing they themselves have no role inside its society, simply as a figure up top commanding it. They're looking at this world, this thing that they've conquered, realizing that they're on the outside of it. In our last reading in episode 9, how you worried that your hermit pole was you not taking part in your communities as much and not learning from other people and not being in the trial by fire aspect of your practice. Mm-hmm. This would point toward that. So let's get into your 3-card and shadow readings, which is a lot more focused upon moving upwards and making spaces for artists to exist, just period.
Right, yeah.
So the 3 of Cups, upright. Mm-hmm. Yours is reversed, but upright. It can often point toward being content with where you are, with the circles you have, and how things are going between them in the moment.
Okay.
The keywords for the
3
of Cups reversed: expedition, dispatch, achievement, and nearing ends.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
So,
wow.
Already pointing toward, like,
wow.
Go and check out the spaces that you're checking out and feel.
Yeah.
Don't think, feel.
You know what? I'm going this weekend. Like
To check out a place. Yeah.
And then that's the thing is like, just feel it. Okay. And
Just
I'll
feel
know.
it.
I'll know. But I love the expedition dispatch.
So your second card, your middle card is Strength Upright. Strength Upright, power, energy, action, courage, magnanimity.
Okay.
If you're talking about this larger move toward bringing people together and having these larger creative acts, these collective creative acts, it's a healing thing for a lot of people. I do believe in you making this move and doing something that feels good to you will help heal others as well.
Okay, nice.
It will be important for other people that you do this, even outside of yourself.
Too. I feel like, it feels kind of spiritual for me where I'm like, I think other people need this. And like, I also think about that when I invite you guys into my living room. I'm like, wouldn't it be great if they could all just sleep here for a week and keep creating and see what happens?
That's
like,
why I loved the idea of a brownstone. It's just like, I'll go to bed when I want to go to bed, but otherwise...
And then what's the Queen of Cups? I forget, but I've
Queen of Cups. Cups
before.
is very much a healing energy and an emotional energy. The keywords for upright are honest, devoted, one who will do service to the court, be of service to the grand people. Other than what your card might point to being you are a lord over people, you are of service to.
You are
actively involved
like that actually makes sense. If I'm like, hey, do I want to make this space where other people can come in?
Because you're not making a space purely for you. You're making a space to bring other people in.
Yeah.
As much as it's something that you feel you need to do, at its root is a selfless act.
I like artists, and I like having them in my living room.
You point this out whenever I help people with their creative things that, like, I do overextend myself to some degree to help other people realize their creative visions. I've done this with your partner. I've done this with my partner. Sure, it's a selfless act, but also I like that my artists are friends.
Yeah.
And it's cool to me.
There's always some like bit of cynicism in there.
There's a little bit just like, if I make all my artists friends, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, thank me in your Tony speech. Whatever. that'll be great.
Some other keywords are loving intelligence and hence the gift of vision, success, happiness, pleasure, and also wisdom and virtue. Because you are helping people, because you are serving these people and serving their greater purpose through your greater purpose, you will find immense happiness. You will find fulfillment. Maybe that's what the end is. You will know that you have done the thing that the cosmos meant you to do.
All right, sounds good.
And then
loving it so far.
No, it's great. It's honestly a great reading. So then we get to the Six of Wands upright. The Six of Wands reversed: apprehension, fear, as of a victorious enemy at the gate, treachery, disloyalty, and as the gates being opened to the enemy. How you even phrased your question to begin with, like, here's my idea, looking to the cosmos and going, huh?
And is that reversed or is that
This is upright. It is just apprehension.
It's apprehension. Yeah, I do feel that. I feel a lot of fear. I also feel like if I leave New York, am I gonna like, who's gonna come visit?
I mean,
the people that be alone,
the people that you serve, the people that enjoy your presence, the
exactly.
people that get more out of their lives by being part of your life. Those people exist.
Do they though? That's this card though. That's exactly
you are speaking this reading into existence.
Exactly.
And actually, that's a great point.
Yeah.
There is a sense of magnetism, even including our signifier cards. And it's cool how I lay these out because strength is directly in the middle, which is what to me signifies that magnetism. Is you are coming from a place of goodness, of like holistic goodness, where you
and people feel that.
And people do feel that, and people recognize that, and people actively seek out those moments where they can take that in. When you host your jam nights, people show the fuck up. And when I say show up, I mean you can hear the jam night from a block away. People show the fuck up to be in a space where that energy is just let fucking loose. Mm-hmm. You facilitate that. You might not think that that's because of you, but you hosted the space of which that energy can be there. If you were not able to make space and hold that energy for a grander whole, a greater creative act, it would not happen in your own home. But it does. Mm-hmm. That is not something to be apprehensive about. You should become more comfortable with the fact that you have that magnetism, you have that ability in trying to build spaces so that other people can manage their larger creative act and so that you can facilitate it to some degree, even make space for it. Those people will come, those people will support you. As you talked about earlier on this podcast as well, when you want help, there are people there helping. There are people there willing to help, and all you have to do is ask for it. Sometimes what you have to do is create the space for people to seek it out themselves.
Right.
And to some degree, I do believe this move, not move, this amorphous motion toward a location upstate to have a space where creatives can do that larger creative act is almost not asking someone if you can help them, but just putting out the hand of, here's your help. You don't even have to ask for it.
Right.
Just
it's
take
there.
the hand.
Yeah, exactly. The hand is always here when you need it. Here's the opportunity. And
people will heal because of that motion.
Yeah, that's true.
Over-intellectualizing something that is realistically
visceral.
A visceral, spiritual performance visceral. That is existence. Why are you up here?
I keep telling my partner, I'm like, if we're supposed to move, I'm going to get a visceral feeling about it from the cosmos, and we're just going to move.
And it's going to happen. Like, you won't have a choice.
Yeah, my partner does not think on the same terms, obviously. We make decisions differently, but...
These signifiers are good to just know where your perspectives come in. Mm-hmm. Your justice reverse can indicate to me that you are over-intellectualizing and not making motions from the heart. Because if other people are going to take on this motion down the road from the heart, why are you not doing it from the start?
I am, though, because I am like bringing in like my own like stereotype of like, oh, but like a lot of my identity has to do with the fact that like I live in New York City.
Yeah, it's effective.
We talked about this
you were, we did. Are you stating that all you are is a New Yorker?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding.
Pance Pony, only personality trait, New Yorker.
And then from ours, which I will say is a little more loosely connected to your cosmic journey. That's not to say we would love to be involved in it. From Abby's signifier with the Two of Wands can speak to a place to be more involved in those spaces, to like
that would be great.
Not hoard creative energy, to learn and to share and to evolve at a somewhat faster pace than just trying to conquer a subject or a sect of your spiritual journey on your own as if you didn't need that help. Mm-hmm. You're looking at this on the card. It is a person just looking at this globe. This is a space for you to then enter this globe and just be lost in the act.
The flat globe.
Yeah, the flat globe. So then my Nine of Cups, the contentment with the court. Like I've felt like I've been floating for a very long time, not very sure of where to land. And this being a space that is very much in line with my vision, I'm seeing those spaces popping up. I'm seeing those spaces being taken seriously. It's telling me to take action and be involved in those things and give my best self to someone else's best self so other people can be their best selves.
And that brings you joy.
And that does bring me joy.
That's what I have, like, that's what I feel when, like, someone's at a jam and then they're like, oh, no, don't give me the microphone. And then, like, 2 songs later, they're just, like, screaming their feelings into the microphone.
I've seen that. I love those moments.
I was like, oh, my gosh, this is, like,
honestly,
I love
like,
this.
I'm not a musician, so I go and I don't really participate, but I loved soaking up that energy of people.
Yeah.
Really.
It's just pure catharsis.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think also, like, why do jams specifically? Why that? And it's like
it's in the moment. You have there's no pretension. You can't overthink it.
Ego. Like
if you overthink it, you fall.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna fall off if you're like, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Like anytime, because I go to your jam, and oftentimes the only thing I ever touch is the cajon I bring, and I get up from that, and other people come and sit on it and play, and I'm sitting there thinking just like they're holding it down to a good degree, and they come and talk to me just like. Yeah, that was cool. That's the first time I've ever done anything like that. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah,
what? Huh?
I know.
You did you held down a rhythm section?
No, I'm excited to see what happens because I just got a trombone.
Nice.
And I'm gonna get a bunch of mouthpieces. So like other people like, hey, do you wanna try the trombone? Try it out. Mm-hmm. Like because this is just something that usually people don't want to approach at all.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you need to be trained to play the trombone. Well, I beg to differ. You'll hear me play the trombone, then you won't feel at all bad about trying it. But no, I've been really digging the trombone lately.
Yeah.
That's a whole other episode.
That is.
Digging the trombone.
Well, this has been a great episode, I have to say.
I think that is kind of where it wraps.
Thank you so much, Pance Pony, for coming on the podcast and being our first guest. It has been
Lovely.
quite literally wonderful.
Yeah.
It has to happen again because I watched the entirety of Troll 2.
I know.
And we never even
haven't
talked
gotten
about
to
it.
talk
Oh my God.
about
So
it.
I think we will have to have a Troll 2
We could, like,
conversation.
Real quick. I want to make Troll 2 the musical. That's it. Hit
Full
me
support.
up.
The
If
rights
you
to it
guys
can't be
wanna
that
do it,
expensive.
right?
Two
I
observations.
I want this to happen. It would be very low budget. I can assure you.
The film itself was already.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
2 observations about the film before we leave. One, allegory for veganism and the cult that is veganism.
Man, it's great.
2,
I'm gonna really need to watch this
the
now.
the grandfather haunted this child to help their family
The
for the entire
grandfather-
movie and then was real by the end. The grandfather could have fucking saved the family.
Also, how did the grandfather stop time?
No, the grandfather's an all-powerful being, and yet he forced a child to piss on his family's dinner to save them. He could have done it from the start.
Yeah, I know. It's
I'm so confused.
You have real opinions about it. Like, it is a divisive
It's such a
movie.
stupid fucking movie.
This conversation is going to be paused and resumed at another
Yes,
time.
I will come back for another episode if there are a lot of people of your viewers begging for Troll 2 commentary.
We should watch it, and then we'll bring you back on.
I would love to.
Okay.
We'd also love to hear
No,
more
wait.
about the advances in your...
Maybe I shouldn't be here because then we can talk about
can
it
talk
after
about
the
it.
fact. Okay, cool.
We need to bring you back for Troll 2. We need to bring you back to hear some advances in your large creative acts.
It'd be funny if we
Absolutely.
met up at a bar after the watching party and just brought recording equipment. Again, thank you, Pance. Thank you for being you, Pance Pony, and thank you for helping us to build this community and being a community builder yourself. We love you.
Oh, I love you too. See you guys soon.
Do you have anything you want to
pleasure.
plug before?
No.
No?
No,
Cool.
no plugs.
Leave.
If you want to find me,
Don't
look
find me.
really, really hard. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm available somewhere. You'll find it.
You need to start saying this is a Faraday cage production in the fucking podcast.